Welcome to the Changing Earth podcast with Sarah F. Hathaway, blending survival, fiction, and fact to bring you entertaining education that'll help you dream, survive, and thrive. And now, here's your host, Sarah F. Hathaway.
Hi, and welcome back to the Changing Earth podcast. I am super stoked to have you back with me this week. You know, I've been having just a ball on this adventure that I've been on, producing this content for all my viewers. And I get such incredible feedback that it makes me know it's worth every bit of my time that I put into producing the shows for you guys. And love to have you back with me. Not only do I produce podcasts, but I've also been out and done my fair share of podcast exploring. So I've been hosted on all kinds of podcasts in my journey. And Dale and Lisa's show, survivalistprepper.net, great place to check out. Toby and Styx, they do a show called the Armed Squirrels Project, great show to check out. And they have a whole bunch of different programs that they do as well. So, you know, it was really my honor to be hosted on their show, to have them on my show. It's always a good time, and I'm just so honored by all the people that I get to meet. Today, we have James Hart back on the Changing Earth podcast, and I've already introduced you to James before, and he has a great website called preparedwithjameshart.blogspot.com. Really cool site, lots of great information that you can learn to get out there and start practicing. Because the key to learning survival information is not just learning it, but getting out and practicing it. So I know that can be a little bit more challenging for those of us in the urban areas, but it's really important that you take the time. Summertime is upon us. Get out there, go do some camping, go do some hiking, keep learning, keep planting your gardens and having fun with it. Today on the day after disaster story, last week Erica was sharing her story with Henry and Carol, and this week Henry shares his story of a journey with Erica. So really, really cool episode. And James is here to talk to us today about wilderness travel. So if you don't know how to travel through the woods silently, you better start learning and having fun with it. It's a great time, and you know, you can go out and practice all your stealth moves and things like that. So without any further ado, let's go ahead and get into the day after disaster story. Day After Disaster by Sarah F. Hathaway, Chapter 8. Erica seized the moment and looked Henry directly in the eyes. It was her turn to make a request of him, and she was not going to miss this opportunity. Henry, you know I'll have to go towards Auburn to get home. What's it like out there? Well, I guess it's only fair that since you've told me your story, I'll have to tell you mine. You must promise me, though, that you will never, ever tell Carol. To her, the world is still a beautiful, safe place filled with the goodwill of men. That is the way I would like to keep it, Henry demanded. You have my word, Henry, but I must know, Erica stated with an extreme desperation in her voice. Okay, I will tell you then, but give me another one of those Marlboros first. No problem, Henry. Take as many as you'd like. Just tell me the darn story, Erica replied impatiently as she tossed him a smoke. All right. Don't get all fussy. Henry chuckled a little as he lit the smoke, holding Erica in suspense. I'll just start at the beginning. I packed up one horse to go to Auburn and get some supplies we were running low on. You see, at that time, I did not know the extent of the earthquake damage. Around our house was a mess. We had lost our home and our roads were impassable, but I figured it could not be like this everywhere. There was no way of getting to the car. It had been buried in the garage. The horse was the only option. So I rode off on my horse towards Auburn. It was very difficult because when the earth moved, it created a completely foreign landscape. Valleys that had not been there before were now deep cracks in the earth, and many obstacles had been created when this upheaval happened. The road was split into pieces around these valleys. After a day and a half of traveling, I started to smell the foulest stench of death imaginable. It wove its way into every one of my senses and made me sick a few times before I finally saw what used to be Auburn. It was literally a pile of rubble, Erica. The road that I was traveling used to be Auburn-Folsom Road, but as I said before, it was in pieces wedged between newly formed valleys. I use the past tense, Erica, because there is nothing left. The homes and stores that were there are all gone. Rubble and sunken land was everywhere. Henry sat back and took a big puff off his smoke. There was a sense of fear and horror in his eyes that Erica had never seen before. She knew that this scene had an immense impact on him. It took Erica by surprise. When Erica looked at him, she saw a huge, immensely strong man, and she couldn't believe that it could have been that horrifying. She knew she would have to follow that same road, and the hair on the back of her neck stood on end. Henry took another puff and returned to his story. Up until now, I had not seen anyone. I was completely inundated with the overwhelming smell and sense of death, but I did not see anyone. It was really curious, though. Where was everyone? Many people must have died, but a lot of people used to live in that town, and I had not seen one of them. I knew there had to be other survivors like ourselves, but where were they? Just then a shot from a gun rang out. I was shaken and quickly turned my horse and ran towards what used to be Old Town Auburn. The gunman was in the rubble at what used to be the 7-Eleven. I did not know it at the time, but now I know why he was there. Why, Henry? Erica was completely enthralled in the story now. Erica should have known the answer and immediately felt like an idiot for asking it in the first place. He was hoarding all the food that was left by the store, and he wasn't going to let anyone near it. After I ran into Old Town, I chose a path that would lead me to what used to be a grocery store. I was hoping I could just get a few of the most important supplies that we needed, and then I was going to get the heck out of there. I learned from the experience at the 7-Eleven, though. I left my horse down in a secluded valley and climbed up a hill a little ways away so that I could scout the area that I was headed for first. I could not believe what these people had become. All of the buildings that used to comprise the shopping center were piles of rubble, and anything that was worth anything had already been pilfered. There was a group of people that were using the area as a compound. They had made new buildings out of the rubble that surrounded the whole shopping center. Then they gated all the openings and used all the surrounding buildings as walls that they could guard so no one else could get the supplies that were left there. Henry lowered his voice a bit and said, Erica, the dead bodies were piled everywhere outside the complex. They put people's heads up as decorations on the walls to deter attackers and thieves. It was absolutely sickening to see how fast society deteriorated when faced with disaster and no sign of relief. That's why I'm telling you, you must never, ever go towards people. I know you will want to, and I'm not sure that it is the same way everywhere, but you must not take those familiar roads home. You will need to chart a new route with my help and your memory. From here you must follow the road but stay far off of it and go directly towards the river. Then you'll have to go where the original road went down before the dam was built and weave a new course down and up the canyon. Stay away from Auburn, always. What did you do? Don't get off track now. Did you get the supplies? What happened next, Henry? Erica was not happy with the sudden change from hearing an intriguing tale to listening to a lecture, and wanted to know how the story would end. Well, after seeing what happened at this shopping center, I had no idea what to do, and I wasn't expecting to need a gun, so I went back to my horse and found a quiet way to ride home. I did not get the supplies, and it was a very long ride home without any food. See, I'd only taken enough to get to Auburn and figured I would restock there. Also, I didn't expect it to take me so long to get there in the first place, so I was already running low on the trip there. Henry paused for a moment and took a long drag off his cigarette. I made it home to my sweet Carol, and I realized then how stupid I'd been. What if people looking for shelter had come while I was gone? God knows what they would have done to my precious Carol. I realized then that we probably should not burn fires during the day so that we do not attract any attention. I just hope my son gets here soon. We could really use the help, and a bigger group is a safer group. With all the supplies we have, we would be easy pickings if they knew we were here. Erica did not know what to say. She figured it would be a long trip home without a car, but this news was heartbreaking. Now she would have to travel through this new alien world, and she could not depend on anyone but herself to get her there safely. She sat there for another minute, silently reflecting on all that information she had just learned. She put the cigarette that she had been smoking out, then said, "Thanks, Henry, for telling me. At least I know what I'll be up against." Henry put his smoke out and looked Erica dead in the eyes. He had a very intimate stare. "Look, Erica, you don't have to go. You can stay with us. I hate to say this, and I know that you will not want to hear it, but you may have to face the fact that your family may be gone, and all you will return home to is chaos and heartache." Henry knew she would never stay, but he had to let her know she was welcome. If there were any doubts in her mind, she must stay. Not many people actually survived, and those that did were more concerned about essential supplies for their survival, not banding together as a people to recover. "Henry, you know I can't stay. I have to go. I have to see for myself. Who knows? I may be back someday. But all the same, I have to know," Erica said without question. "I know you can't stay, but you must understand the extreme danger the world presents for you now. Anyway, that's enough talking. I'm off to bed." Henry had made his point, and now he would let Erica simmer in the juices of her new knowledge. Henry and Erica headed up the stairs into the hayloft. When Erica climbed into her bed on the hay, it felt good. It was a million times more comfortable than the pile of rags on the cold concrete she had gotten accustomed to in the hole. But she longed for her bed, her warm bed, where she could snuggle up with her boys and melt away into relaxation. Sleep did not come easily despite her comfort, and she lay awake for a long time thinking about her upcoming journey. Welcome back. So Henry's story was quite the interesting adventure he had there. He experiences some adverse things that he finds out and has to make sure that Erica knows so that when she goes that way, she does not experience or run in with these people. So, as you know, I have James Hart with me today, and he is going to talk to us a little bit about wilderness movements. James Hart is a veteran of 2 tours of duty in Vietnam. James began his survival training at the age of 7 when he was stranded in the Mojave Desert for 7 hours without food or water during a family move in 1954. Since then, he has been through the scouting program where he attained Life Scout, served as a Scoutmaster, Assistant Scoutmaster, Venture Advisor, and earned the Baden-Powell Award. An avid outdoorsman, he has winter camped in Utah and northern Quebec, Canada, snowshoed in upstate New York, Utah, and Quebec, and camped in the Mojave Desert of California, the Uinta Mountains of Utah, and the piney woods of East Texas, among numerous other locations. James has traveled and been through 42 of the 50 states of the U.S., 3 provinces of Canada, sailed the Pacific Ocean, and crossed the equator and 35 countries from jungles of South America to the Himalayas of Nepal. This guy has been around. Having earned an Associate's of Photography degree from Houston Community College, he has beautifully captured many of his travels with his cameras, so that's really cool that he likes to get out there with his camera. He's now retired from a career with the Trinity River Authority of Texas, and he resides in Dallas, Texas, where he lectures on wilderness and survival training. He's the author of SWET, Survival and Wilderness Experience Training, Urban and Wilderness Emergency Planning, 35 other booklets on wilderness training, monthly articles for Survival Life magazine, and a column for the Garland Messenger newspaper. James also does workshops and speaking engagements. You can find him at his website at www.preparedwithjameshart.blogspot.com. Make sure you get over there and check it out. It is, you're going to be overwhelmed. It's a great site to go check out. So let's listen into the conversation that I had with James about wilderness travel. Welcome back to the show, Mr. James Hart. He's with me here again today. Thank you very much for being here with me, James. I so appreciate your time and your energy. It's always a pleasure to have you.
Thanks.
I have been posed this question a few times as to why I chose to go with a group that was not being peaceful, but being rather aggressive with other people and holding people hostage and doing things like that. And it's my feeling that there's people out there that have evil minds and they can't do what they want to do right now because of the systems we have in place. But if those systems were removed, they would be free to take those leadership roles and to influence people in these negative ways. Would you agree that that's a viable idea?
There's definitely going to be people out there, and you just have to disassociate yourself with those people any way that you can. Get your supplies, hide them well, play the part of the person that has nothing.
To try and hide out and stay as low profile as possible?
Hide out, stay as low profile as possible. Don't travel during the daytime. Don't, travel at night without a light of any color.
Even the red light.
Even the red light. People say use red light. Don't even use the red light. Don't even use infrared. Infrared has a little red light that shines out. That little red light can be noticed.
Can be a beacon.
Yes, it can be. It can be. To some people, that little red light is as bright as a white light. Get your night vision working. Get it working good, and travel at night. Travel quietly. Learn to walk quietly. Use soft-soled shoes. I have a pair of moccasins that I use that have Vibram soles on them. Carry a weapon with you, preferably one that doesn't make noise so that you're not giving away your location if you have to use it.
Okay, so you're talking more of a bow type situation, a crossbow, something like that. That's going to be a lot quieter, or a silenced silencer on your.
Well, the silencer's still going to make a noise.
Okay.
And it's not going to be as quiet as people think they are. People think you can put a silencer on there and shoot a 10-round clip and you're still okay. But that's not true. A silencer is as loud as a firecracker or louder. It's not that little poof that you hear on the TV.
In the movies. Okay.
It's still loud enough. It's going to give you away, and you will be able to be located. So something like a bow, crossbow, even a spear or a lance.
That makes sense.
You don't want to make any noise, none at all. And if you practice now, then you're going to be that much better off. So you want to travel quiet. You want to travel dark. You want to blend in. Don't travel down the middle of the road. Don't travel down the sidewalk. Blend in with the shadows. Don't try to cover 100 yards. You want to cover 10 feet. And then take in your surroundings. Make short distances.
Right, okay.
And you want to make sure that you're not being followed. Make sure that you're not being watched. You want to look 100, 150 feet ahead of you, and you want to look at 10 feet ahead of you. You want to be totally aware of your surroundings for distances ahead of you and nearby. because you can move and everything be clear, and you can stop, everything be clear, and you can take one step and somebody can come around the corner.
And that one step out of the shadow.
And one step out of the shadow, and somebody can step from their shadow. So you have to be aware. You have to be on pins and needles the whole time you're moving, and the whole time you're watching.
That makes a lot of sense. So how are we going to be navigating now? Everybody's getting so reliant upon their GPSs, which is really disheartening to me.
GPSs send a signal out to the satellite, and that signal comes back to them. And with proper equipment set into the proper frequency, now I'm talking super technology here.
Right.
Things can get traced. Your telephone can get traced. Your cell phone through equipment.
Right. Whether or not you have the locator on or not, that doesn't matter.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. The government has that equipment, and who's to know whether that equipment can fall into the wrong hands? Okay. So I wouldn't move with I wouldn't leave the house with anything that can give away my location.
So just leave it behind. Don't even worry about it.
That's right.
Grab your compass. Grab your map.
How many times on TV have you seen somebody trying to hide and their phone goes off?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, doing a lot of recordings like I do, you quickly realize how loud your phone actually is when you keep picking it up in the background.
Yeah.
So it has to be shut off and away because they are really loud.
Total silence. That's what you're looking for. So a basic compass and know your area. Know where you're going. Have it in your mind. A map if you need it. Me, I know within 20 miles of where I live, I know my area. I know what is where. So I really don't need it, but I will have it with me. I will have it not marked up at all. And that way, if I lose it or anything else, nobody can trace it back. And I can rely on the moon and the stars to tell me which is north and south, and that's basically all I need. And I know landmarks. I know which buildings are which. And real quick, if you look at the moon, the sun rises in the east and sets in the south.
Right.
The moon does the same thing. Now, the white portion of the moon that you always see that gives you the slice of the moon, okay, if you go from point to point on the white part and you draw a line straight through it, that will give you north and south.
Okay.
The white part is always on the west because that's the sun shining on it. So now you know north, south, east, and west.
Yeah. Well, that's fantastic. I've never had anybody tell me that one. I like that.
You don't have to take time to find the North Star, the Big Dipper, to find the North Star. Just look at the moon. You've got north, south, east, and west.
That's a great tip. Great tip. Okay, so I've got a story for you. One thing that I found interesting that I had to consider was we were out with a survival group, and it was all guys and me. And so we're out there, and we're talking away, chatting around our fire, and this guy comes into our circle. He's a miner, and he's like, I heard a woman's voice. I haven't seen a woman like 3 months, and I know I heard a woman's voice over here. And we're all in rain gear because it's raining, so he's trying to pick out which one of us was the female of the group. And on that day, I learned that female voices carry a lot farther than male voices do. And also children's voices carry even farther than that. So to me, that was a big red flag in my head that if I was in a wilderness survival situation, my voice is going to be a lot easier to pick up than a male's. That I would need to deepen it.
That's right. That's right. It's always so.
Right, and I know a lot of the women out there have never considered this fact because I never did before that day. And I've thought a lot about survival information. And so I just wanted to bring that to light because a lot of times guys don't realize it as well. But they can, they know a woman's voice when it comes out.
Yes.
So that's
it's not that it's louder, it's that it's a higher pitch.
Right, and it carries further.
And because of that higher pitch, it will carry further. And because of the higher pitch, the further it carries, it does not diminish. Your higher frequencies carry further, just naturally.
Yeah, and don't reduce. You're right, and don't reduce as much even when they're going that far.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, that was a rude awakening for me that day. I was like, you know what? I'm going to have to really be aware of that one, even when we're just out playing paintball and stuff like that, because, I don't want to give up my position just because I said 2 words.
That's right. That's right. I speak so... I have a very deep voice, and a lot of people have trouble hearing me because of that. And that's one reason why I'm so good in the wilderness. I can sneak up on animals real easily, and at the same time be speaking to somebody else.
And they never know what's coming. Yes, sir. Well, I want to give a shout out to James again. Remember to get over to his website, preparednesswithjameshart.blogspot.com. Wealth of information over there. It's really worth your time and energy. James is always full of some great takeaway tips that you can get out and practice. And as I said in the intro, you got to get out there and practice. You got to get out there in the woods. And they've done studies and things that walking in the woods will actually lower your blood pressure and has many, many health benefits. Beyond that, you get peace of mind and you get to practice some survival stuff. So I encourage you to get your hiking boots out, get out there and get on the trail. And remember, until next time, dream, survive, thrive.
Thank you for joining Sarah for this episode of the Changing Earth podcast. Don't forget to pick up your copy of Day After Disaster at www.author.sarahfhathaway.com. If you love this podcast, please head over to iTunes and let everyone know by leaving a review.